Oh, we're live. Beautiful.
We're live.
All right. Well, welcome back to Jazz FM 91's Where Are They Now alumni feature. Today I'm joined by Anthony Fung, who was a member of the Jazz FM 91 Youth Big Band
Yep.
back in 2009, 2011. My name is Jelani Watson. I'm the Education and Outreach Officer here at the station, and I just want to give a little bit of your history so far, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
For those that don't know, Anthony Fung is a drummer, composer, producer, and band leader. And he was born in Richmond Hill, Ontario, and has been playing drums since the age of 10.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently based in Los Angeles, California, and Anthony has appeared at International Jazz Day among numerous other festivals and has worked with Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Danilo Perez, Terrace Martin, John Patitucci, David Binney, Cyril
Amy,
yeah. Alicia Olatuja, Grace Kelly, and many more. The list was actually very extensive. I don't know how you could. That's amazing, man. As I mentioned, Anthony was a member of the Jazz FM 91 Youth Big Band from 2009 to 2011 while attending St. Michael's College here in Toronto. And that was before heading to Boston to attend Berklee College of Music, their Global Jazz Institute under the mentorship of Danilo Perez, and later making his way to California to study under Herbie Hancock at the Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz. Mm-hmm. So far in Anthony's budding career, he has put out 4 albums as a leader and co-leads the group Jab Fung with bassist Julian Anderson Bowes and the rest of the band currently consisting of Rafael Zaldivar on piano and Luis Dinez on sax, and the group is currently on tour for the release of their new album Epoch, and they'll be at the Rex tonight as well as tomorrow as well as Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Yes.
Anthony, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
And you just got off the air with Brad.
Yes, we just got off the air with Brad. That's fun.
Awesome. So to those joining us in the chat for today, we have our digital content specialist, John Sawa Jabi, moderating the chat. So if you have any comments, questions, anything like that, let us know. And John Sawa will give me a heads up and we'll get those answered as well.
Awesome.
Sweet. So let's jump in. I like to try to paint a little bit of a story.
Of course, yeah.
So,
gotta do it.
Let's go back all the way to 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So what was life like for you in 2009 in high school, hearing about the Youth Big Band and joining it for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those opportunities that kind of came about, I believe, through the Humber Saturday program. I had a buddy.
Community
music school. Yes. I had a friend who was attending that school, and I believe maybe he might have actually, I don't know if he actually auditioned for this band, but anyways, Kathy Mitra was the one that told me, hey, you should audition for the citywide big band.
Yeah.
I also know there was like another big band, like All Star Toronto Big Band or something like that. I can't remember, but I sent in a tape and I came here and did an audition with Jules Estrin.
Yeah.
And back then I was also playing in my high school big band, and also drumline. And I came here and I got in, so it was really fun. I was really happy about it, and I wanted an opportunity to be able to play more big band music back then.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was pretty fun. And at the same time, kind of balancing schoolwork and whatnot. And the thing is, living in Richmond Hill, it's kind of hard to come over here. But
right, because you're coming downtown for school, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I live in Richmond Hill, but on Saturdays I would go to the community music. Right. And then I would take the subway and come right over here because rehearsals used to be in this room on Saturdays.
Yes.
So then a lot of those students that would take that community music school would come straight here. Same thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Awesome.
It's fun.
And when did you get into jazz?
When did I get into jazz? Let me see. I was, let's say, maybe I was like 13 or 14.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was. I started drumming because of the movie Drumline. You ever watch that movie?
I love that movie.
Yeah, Nick Cannon. Yeah.
I did some drumline as well for my church.
Oh, nice.
Well. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, that's amazing, right?
Exactly.
But the thing is, when you decide to take drum lessons, they don't just teach you, hey, just play this one drum. You know what I mean? Right. It's like you learn the drum set.
Yeah, that's where I stopped.
That's where it stopped. Well, it wasn't until I went to my high school and I saw like a flyer for auditions for the St. Michael's College School drumline.
Right.
Got into this drumline, Next thing you know, there was a jazz combo in my school,
Yeah.
and they needed a drummer because their drummer couldn't make this Christmas concert. They were playing AAA hockey. So the music teacher asked my buddy asked the music teacher, "Hey, is there any student in the school that knows how to play jazz?" Like, yeah, I think there's a kid on the drum line that plays jazz. And back then, I didn't even know how to play it at all. It was just like a little swing beat, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I got hooked. And I had a friend, and he showed me some CDs. Back then, we would just he burned a data disc on a CD. You know, he burned like 5 albums on there, and he gave it to me, and I was kind of hooked from there. Yeah, so I was like around 13 or 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you joined the youth big band. That would have been grade 11?
Maybe grade 10.
Grade 10, grade
yeah,
11?
grade 10, yeah.
There. And what role did that play in your musical development, artistic development, desire to pursue music?
Yeah. I think pretty greatly. I mean, it was a fun band to be in, and we had a lot of opportunities to perform. We played with like Bucky Pizzarelli at some point. We played at the Markham Jazz Festival. But for me, I mean, learning big band music, it's kind of the core, like almost like a very necessary thing to have in your arsenal, especially as a drummer.
Yeah.
To be able to lead a band. And, you know, they always say in big band, you know, you need to drive the bus, you know, as the drummer.
Yeah.
So for definitely, I feel like I definitely grew as a musician in that opportunity, and also in a way to kind of lead a band in a way. A lot of good practice. So
Yeah. And so you were in the band for 2 years, and then you went to Berklee.
Yeah.
What? I mean, I kind of know why Berklee, but for those that don't know, why Berklee?
So back then, I guess that similar around the same time where I was getting into jazz, I also saw the Wayne Shorter Quartet at Massey Hall.
Okay.
And I just remember, you know, back then we got like nosebleed seats for like, I don't know, $15 or something. And then we snuck in the front row somehow. But I remember just being like, oh my God, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I want to figure out a way to study with these guys. And at that time, when you see all these names in my bio, it's because of them. They all taught at Berklee at the same time. Joe Lofano, Danilo Perez, John Patitucci, basically Wayne Shorter's band.
Yeah.
You know, Terry Lynn Carrington, George Garzone, Dave Lehman, all these guys. So they pretty much they were teaching at the program, the Global Jazz Institute, and that's why I decided to audition.
Yeah.
Although when you audition to Berklee, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get into that program. But when I was at Berklee, I auditioned my first semester and got in for my second semester, and I kind of stayed with them throughout my entire time in college.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then how did you make your way to LA?
Yeah. Let me see. So after my undergraduate degree, I moved to New York for a year.
Yeah.
And then there was a master's program happening at Berklee, a 1-year master's, also the same thing, like a Global Jazz Institute thing.
Yeah.
So I went back for a 1-year master's program, and then while I was doing that master's program, everyone was like, "Hey, the auditions are opening up for this the Monk Institute."
Right.
Back then, Monk Institute, and I don't know how much you know about it, but basically, it's those auditions open up every 2 years.
Gotcha.
And every 2 years, they only select anywhere between 5 and 8 students.
Right.
So generally one drummer.
Yeah.
And I remember literally all my friends were auditioning. There was at least like 100 students from Berklee auditioning. And I just remember being like, I'm already doing a master's program. Why would I want to be doing this? And my friends just like, hey, you know what? You should just do it. Like send something in. So I remember sending it in, and I got a call back after my pre-screen. And I remember going to LA. They flew me out for an audition. And next thing you know, I was like literally in front of me. It's like Jimmy Heath, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter,
no
Herb Alpert,
no pressure,
Kenny Burrell, like all these masters literally sitting in front of me. Yeah. And the next thing you know, after the audition process, you're like, this is the band. You're going to move to LA. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. I would have never guessed, you know?
Yeah.
But looking in hindsight, I think that was probably one of the best moves that I could have, that could have ever happened to me for sure.
Yeah. And you've been in LA ever since.
Yeah.
So you make some trips back to Toronto every now and then. You got family here.
Yep.
You're playing here and there as well with
Jab
Fung as
Fung,
well.
Yeah.
So you've been around to a few different music cities.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto compared to New York, LA. What are some of the differences that you kind of noticed over the years?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think it's I think you make a city what you want it to be. You know what I mean? I think you find the beauty in everywhere that you go. I mean, now I didn't live in New York long enough to really develop like an idea of it the way that most people do. You know, they have this old saying, you know, it's like you have to be here struggling for like 10 to 15 years before you make it.
Yeah.
And although there's a part of me that still wants to go there at some point and just kind of like do that, it wasn't quite for me. Although the one thing about New York is that there's so many of those master musicians that are still living there.
Yeah.
For instance, the master drummers, like, you know, Al Foster just passed away today. I got a chance to see Al Foster play like at least 10 times.
Yeah.
Roy Haynes, I got a chance to sit in the front row at the Blue Note to watch him play.
Yeah.
Victor Lewis and Sheep Waits and all these amazing musicians, Tootie Heath.
Yeah.
And then Toronto, what I like about Toronto is that I feel like it's so diverse, and you see, you know, students from everywhere, like all different kinds of high schools and all different backgrounds, and they've kind of played jazz. And now I've been seeing there's a lot of younger musicians that are coming up out of the woodwork, and just they're all sounding amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And also now some kind of newer venues, like kind of like alternative venues to kind of, you know, in addition to, you know, the Rex, the Jazz Bistro, you know, Emmett Ray. I like to see all these like kind of like grassroots kind of things that are happening, which is super cool. And compared to LA, I think that's also happening in LA as well too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of similarities right now to Toronto and LA.
Yeah.
Although of course, you know, everybody moves to LA because it's LA, you know. It's,
for sure.
But it's kind of hard to say. Every scene has its ups and downs. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you mentioned students. You're an educator as well.
Yes. Yeah.
What role does education play in like your day-to-day lifestyle?
Yeah. So I actually teach at the LA County High School for the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
Very prestigious public arts high school in LA. You know, very vigorous audition process.
Yeah.
You know, like Gretchen Parlato went there, and Gerald Clayton went there.
Yeah.
And, Walter Smith used to teach there. Harish, and so there's like a long history of like the jazz history and or jazz musicians coming up from this high school. So I teach there about 2 to 3 days a week.
Yep.
And I also teach at the Cal State Northridge, which is kind of similar to Humber actually.
Okay.
In that it's a smaller program, a little bit more focused, but
Right.
the musicians all the students that are in there also sound incredible.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it also informs me because I'm actively touring and performing so much
Right.
that I get a chance to see what they're working on,
Yeah.
and also giving them real life experiences of what I'm dealing with, and also they tell me what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And kind of the share, you know, the exchange in music as well too, like what they're checking out. Like, oh, Anthony, have you checked this out? No, I haven't checked it out.
Yeah.
Check it out. So I feel like constantly I mean, I know this sounds cliche, but they're teaching me as much as I'm teaching them. You know,
No,
I'm
I
learning
get
so
that.
much from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do some private lessons as well. It's a similar thing.
Exactly,
I
right.
learned so much trying to teach them. as
Exactly.
well. So yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're I guess we've talked about a lot of your accomplishments already. We're not going to get to all of them today because you've had a great career so far.
Thank you.
But what are some major projects that you have going on right now?
Major projects. Major projects. I mean, right now I'm kind of focusing a lot on Jab Fung.
Yeah.
I feel like this project has the opportunity to grow in a really interesting way, especially being based in Canada.
Yeah.
I really hope that, you know, we can work towards maybe getting a Juno or, you know, getting some grants and continuing to record more music. But other than that, I'm always working on my own stuff as well, too. You know, like you said, I have 4 albums out and also an EP.
Yeah.
I'm also working towards writing music for kind of a larger ensemble with string quartet and jazz
beautiful.
ensemble. Basically trying to write music focused on kind of like the immigration of the Chinese heritage and Chinese diaspora moving to the States, moving to North America,
Right.
and kind of doing a little bit more study abroad. And I kind of have a grant that I'm waiting for right now where I would go to China and kind of learn a little bit more about my roots as well too. So that's something that I'm working on. That's kind of more of like a 5-year project.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, I think it's like I'm trying to just be grounded in kind of like the day-to-day playing as much as possible, writing as much as possible. teaching, being a good educator, getting married next month. So that's kind of the biggest, that's kind of the bigger project, honestly, you know, in my life right now. That's something that you can't take for granted, because that's a big time commitment, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
In tandem with music. It's like sometimes it's so hard to just get that 1 hour on the drum set.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you do all this other stuff, like you travel to so-and-so, you travel for like 48 hours just to play a 1 hour set, you know? And so it's being, you know, it's kind of a crazy life here.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, what's some advice that you could give to a younger musician? Think about yourself when you were first getting started.
Mm-hmm. Sure. A younger musician. I would say to be patient, but I mean, I might be. I mean, I don't want to say, you know, like I think from my own experience, coming from like an immigrant family, like my my parents are from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like, why would they move to Canada and then their kid ends up doing music? You know what I mean? It's like it's probably one of the harder choices that you can make. So when I went to America, my goal was either you be the best or you don't do it at all.
Right.
So that was always my mantra, and highly competitive in that way. It's almost, I never played like team sports like that. So whenever I was trying to audition for programs like the Global Institute or the Monk Institute, I'm highly competitive. You know, I really wanted to get in, and I'll practice as much as possible. So some advice: you got to practice a lot. You got to listen to a lot of music. You got to be open to being a good human being. You have to make a lot of connections. You have to diversify yourself as much as possible now as a young student. Like for instance, I have a cousin who wants to go to music school, and I didn't even know this until now. You know, and he's in 11th grade. He never told me until maybe last month, right?
Oh, awesome.
So I'm telling him these same things. You know, make sure that you practice hard. Make sure that you become prepared. You know, because preparation goes a long way. And you know, if you're not preparing, there's somebody else halfway across the world that's preparing 24 hours a day trying to get that same spot as you, right? So yeah, hard work and good work ethic.
Awesome. So you mentioned a little bit about Jab Fung. I know you just talked about that with Brad,
sure. We can talk more about it.
You formed it with Julian Anderson Bose. Also got featured on Jazzology back. Back when Brad was the host of that. How did you guys meet? How did you decide that this was a project that you wanted to do? It happened organically. We met each other during the community music program, and I remember we were just talking about this, but the first time that we jammed at the community music program, we just had such an instant connection. And I would always, like I said, come back and visit at least 2, 3, maybe 4 times a year. And every time I'm like, let's just get some gigs at the Rex. And then we kind of just started this project. Back then, I think it was still called Jab Fung. That was the very first thing. So Jab being Julian Anderson Bose, and then my last name, and it just kind of stuck. And then through the years, it kind of, you know, we kind of really kind of had more of a vision. And now I feel like we're at that point where now it's starting to really make sense why we've been doing this for so long. And the other members, Rafael and Luis, also being childhood friends from Cuba, I felt like we have a very strong story to tell. And spending so much time with these guys and writing music inspired specifically for this band has been very inspiring to me. So that's why I'm here to continue doing that and growing the brand as much as possible. And correct me if I'm wrong, the album's not out yet.
It's out. Well, technically, it's out at midnight.
Okay.
In 7 hours.
Great time. Awesome. Because I checked out the 3 singles that you guys put out so far.
It's all dropping. It's all dropping tonight, midnight.
Okay. And Luis Binney is another staple of jazz with them. He's amazing.
He's unreal. And of course, he's here crushing it and playing with everybody there. Whether it's Brad, Darnell, and Rich Brown, and all these guys. So he's a very inspiring person to have in the band. And even just to have like a slightly generational gap, that decade of difference, just to feel that the influences that he has and the life lessons that he's had, and when we're playing, it just really comes through. I'm learning so much from him. That's great.
I don't know my brain
No, it's okay. It happens. Yeah, it's a lot of like this kind of these questions are
Yeah.
intense. It makes you like have to reflect. It makes you have to like reflect on your like, oh God, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
What did I do 10 years ago?
Well, the problem was that the question was a little bit of less intense question,
Okay.
and it's what are you listening to right now?
Oh,
What's inspiring your artistic pursuit?
I'm listening to a lot of let's see, Joe Clayton. Joe Clayton released a new record recently called Ones and Twos. It's really cool. Let's see what else. Listen to a lot of timba music, like Cuban timba music.
Oh,
Yeah, which is so fun. Miguel Zanon.
I love that.
I always listen to Wayne Shorter. I always go back to him. I'm also listening to honestly a lot of popular music as well too. I mean, like a lot of Kendrick Lamar and who else? I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, Leon Bridges. I love Leon Bridges.
Yeah.
Robert Glasper, Terrace Martin.
Yeah.
Had an opportunity to play with Terrace Martin over the past 2-3 years in LA, so I've been listening to a lot of his repertoire. Yeah, kind of a little bit of everything. I played in a country band for a couple years in LA, so I kind of got into country a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so I don't believe we've gotten any questions from John Saba. So we can start to wrap things up a little bit.
Sure.
So you're in Toronto now. When are you planning to be back?
Be back. Well, we'll be back next month.
Okay.
Yeah. And doing some family stuff, getting married. I mentioned that already.
Yeah.
But other than that, I come back pretty often. I'll probably do that after that. Maybe I'll come back like in December or something like that. Yeah, for Christmas. Beautiful.
Well, you said every time you come back it's cold.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying I don't know why I do that.
Fair enough. And how can people stay connected with you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I think I'm most active on Instagram at Anthony Fung Music. I have a band camp up as well too. Other than that, you can also follow us at Jack Fung. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Let's see, did I cover? I think I covered everything.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome, July. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to the release at 12 o'clock a.m.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, man.
Thank you.